It's time for the main event. It's the Shoe Shine.
¿Qué onda, vatos locos? Damas y caballeros, it's your boy Dave in the 702 coming back at you for that ultimate boxing Monday night recap known as the Shoe Shine. All right, you guys know the drill. Joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, Philly Irish, Drew Evo. Good to have you. ¿Qué pasa, homie?
What's up, Dave?
Glad to have you, everybody. Drew was at work and he had to go to a union meeting, and I'm just glad he was able to get. If you guys been keeping up, Drew's in the middle of a very hot union war with the city of Philly, and I hope that everything comes out for the hard-working blue-collar guy, my co-host Philly Irish, Drew Evo. Drew, a lot of compliments on my new hat. Now don't get it twisted. All y'all new subscribers say, "Oh man, this guy is a Canelo dick rider, fanboy, blah blah blah." He's gonna keep it biased because I was live streaming at Mandalay Bay, Drew, and I think some of the YTBC extended members out there had gotten in my chat and said that I was biased as fuck. I'm like, you don't watch the Shoe Shine. Y'all don't watch the Shoe Shine. Saludos to everybody joining us. Wiley, Coyote, SB, appreciate you. Also good to see you. AC Walker, Carlos M. Carlos, what you know about that? Look at that. Drew, let me give a shout out to Fonzie 619 all the way in San Diego. He was texting me, I think Thursday. He goes, you like one of these? I'm like, where the fuck are you at? You got all this Canelo Alvarez merchandise. He's like, I'm at Canelo Alvarez's brother's taqueria, which he had told me wasn't that good, but he was back for seconds to try it. And I'm like, a Canelo Alvarez hat? Only if it matches this. Yeah, that's right. It's only going in my man cave if it matches this, okay? Being the nice guy that Fonzie is, a great supporter and a San Diego Padres fan. Nonetheless, he got your boy the black and orange Canelo Alvarez hat. Good to see everybody. I appreciate everybody that's up in here. An exciting weekend of boxing, Drew. Friday and Saturday night, I was out there. Friday, I went to the Mandalay Bay, Drew, to check out the weigh-ins. Drew, you might want to move the camera just a bit. I think up or down. Let's see. There we go. Went to go check out the weigh-ins on Friday, Drew. And they did something that they don't typically do. They had it in this small little bar where it gets cracking at Mandalay Bay, but the bar is made for live music. It's not typically where they do these weigh-ins. And only media was allowed to be up front. And then everybody that was standing in the back had to buy. Well, if you wanted to sit and have a seat, you had to do a 2-drink minimum. So I ended up spending about $60 in cocktails for that weigh-in. It was fun. Thank you to everybody that tuned in on Friday, testing the live stream at the Mandalay Bay. Huge repercussions to the super middleweight division, Drew. Huge. Let's start off with Friday. Beck the Bully, the guy that was a silver medalist. He's still a silver medal, Olympic silver medalist, but going back 10 fights, his momentum had been completely wrecked by a Philadelphia fighter named Gabe Rosado, who knocked him the fuck out. And then you started to wonder, well, is Beck the Bully a hype job Golden Boy made sure they found out this Friday because we had seen him fight. Fonzie and I had seen him fight in his last fight. I've told that story at the same venue, the Virgin. And I wasn't really that enthused. Shout out to Mario, our boy Mario Mungia, who had interviewed Fulgham. I knew it was going to be a close fight, man, but I want to get your thoughts on it because the fight almost got away from Beck the Bully, but he managed to pull it out in the late rounds. There was a point deduction, and going into the 11th, 12th, I'm like, this fight's up for grabs. Beck the Bully pulls away with a vicious knockdown, comes away victorious. All three judges unanimous, 114 to 112. The super middleweight division is rocking. Drew, that catapults him. Beck the Bully is now the WBA number 1. And what's wild is Saturday night, the other guy, Armando Resendiz, upsetting Caleb Plant. He becomes the WBA interim champ. The WBA is going to say one of these guys is going to be the mandatory to Canelo. We'll take it from there. First and foremost, Drew, good to have you. What were your thoughts on Beck the Bully's performance? Do you see him as a guy who's going to fight Canelo Alvarez?
No. And I don't even think he's that good.
Shoo!
No, I don't think he's that good. I think there's a lot of issues with him. I think he's a little undersized for that division. He's like 5'9". I know Canelo was like 5'9" too, but I think he's not the type of fighter that can be undersized in that division and not be able to move. Like, he wants to bang and everything. And I think he's food to a lot of these guys.
Interesting. And I'll go through this list of guys, Drew. Okay, now he comes away, I think it's his 9th or 10th consecutive victory. You did mention the size. Canelo Alvarez is also, 5'9"? But he seemed to handle Fulgham's height quite well. Fulgham coming in at legitimate 6'2". That is a very tall super middleweight, right up there with David Benavidez when he was in that division. I don't see Beck the Bully being the type of guy, the type of Eastern European fighter that like Golovkin was able to beat Canelo, in my opinion, or Dimitri Bivol. But he is a very fun and entertaining fighter when he is in rhythm. When he's got it going and he's working in rhythm, he is very entertaining. And now you really do at ranked number 1. I'm starting to think, hey, okay, well, we saw Armando Resendiz on Saturday upset Caleb Plant. Is this a fight potentially that maybe PBC and Oscar were willing to make, which is probably improbable. They never worked together. But listen, you got the WBA interim. You got Beck the Bully. You know that Canelo's not going to fight any of these guys anytime soon because Canelo talked about this weekend that he sees himself fighting the rematch with Dimitri Bivol after the fight with, if he gets past Bud Crawford. So where do you see these guys in the division? I'll want me to read you off some of the WBA guys, top guys. Number 1, Beck the Bully.
Well, first of all, we can both agree when he's not in rhythm, he's really terrible.
Yeah, when he's having a bad night, he's having a bad night or an off performance. Well, I got to see Beck the Bully in one of those off performances in the very, very last fight. But when he's on, he's entertaining. And when we saw him against Gabe Rosado, where Gabe Rosado timed him perfectly, it could be potentially lights out situation. I'll read to the people in the chat. Saludos, everybody joining us in, all the new subscribers. God, I appreciate you guys so much. Beck the Bully's number 1. Jermall Charlo, who was ranked way down there, is now elevated to number 2. Lester Martinez, fighter that fights with Terrence Bud Crawford, and I believe was a potential sparring partner for Canelo Alvarez. I believe Lester Martinez is being retained as an emergency fighter should Bud Crawford not be able to fight in September. Lester Martinez could be a last-minute replacement. That tells you a lot about Lester. Caleb Plant, still number 4. I don't think this is very updated. Edgar Berlanga, 5. Darius Fulgham, number 6. Darius Fulgham, were you impressed by his performance, even though he lost?
Yeah.
Would you?
I think the rankings are terrible. I think most of the sanctioning body rankings are terrible. Like, I
All right. For instance, WBO. On the WBO side, Diego Pacheco, number 1. They don't have an interim title list, which I appreciate that. Edgar Berlanga, number 2, survived 12 rounds against Canelo. Jaime Munguia, still surprisingly number 3. And I want to talk briefly while it's hot right now. We need to talk about Jaime Munguia, still ranked number 5 by the IBF. Where does in the WBA? Looks like the WBA might have punished Jaime Munguia. The WBC has Jaime Munguia number 2. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. News broke Thursday night going into the weigh-in, Drew. Jaime Munguia popped dirty in the rematch for Cinco de Mayo against Surachi. In the rematch, he won barely in a boring fight. Comes away with a decision victory. Pops dirty for exogenous testosterone. The fuck? He did it. Damn.
it's a real bad look from Munguia. You couldn't and you couldn't even knock him out. That's the worst part about it. But you did it just because you were afraid to lose to him again, probably. But I'm gonna go out to a limb here. I think Sirachi may be the guy that people may not want to fight. I think Shirachi may be that guy that can climb the rankings, can pick these other guys off, and potentially be this number 2 guy in the division with the way that he fights.
Mm-hmm.
Underrated power, like if he can land a good punch on you, he's gonna hurt you. He's a really
which he showed everybody in that first fight.
Underrated fighter. He's a good boxer. I think he can put fits to anybody in 168. I will pick him probably to beat some of these guys at 168. So, like, can I see him? I think he beats Diego Pacheco. I will pick him against Pacheco. I will potentially pick him against Mbili. I will right now pick him against Caleb Plant.
The Christian and Billy one I might find a little bit difficult to pill to swallow, but nonetheless, Bruno Sirachi. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say this. Mbili is there to be hit. He runs into a lot of counter shots, and that's why you can favor Bruno Sirachi against Mbili, because Bruno is a good boxer and good enough to get a counter shot off. That's what really knocked Munguia out, was a good counter shot he didn't see coming.
Yeah, perfectly placed with enough power too. And Sirachi, on the subject of Sirachi, he's ranked number 8 by the IBF. He is ranked, let's see here, I saw him ranked number 8 by the WBO. Not ranked by the WBA, so it's not likely we'll ever see him get a shot against Armando Resendiz or the WBC, huh? Interesting enough. Bruno Sirachi, how is that knockout aging now, guys? Well, anyways, I got a statement from Jaime Munguia, because what's typical of fighters, Drew, we all know at this point, is to deny. He's already made a statement. Let's read it. He says, throughout my boxing career, I have undergone numerous anti-doping tests, and I have never tested positive. I was tested twice during this training camp, and both results came back negative. That's the same bullshit that Ryan Garcia was saying, which is why receiving this notification of an adverse finding has been a complete surprise to me. He's just learning English. He didn't write this. It's been translated. Several experts have explained that there are multiple ways contamination can occur, and I am fully willing to undergo any retroactive current or future testing to demonstrate that I've always been a clean athlete. I will not make any further comments on this matter until the process is concluded with the result of my B sample. Okay, Drew, the B sample has been sent away. VADA, which follows the World Anti-Doping Agency protocols for testing in laboratory, even as far as like the way they transport the stuff, Drew. 99.9%, the B sample comes back with the exact same result, that he's going to have extragenous. And then the fighter's got to, like Ryan Garcia, you got to continue to say, oh, I don't know how. It must, maybe somebody poured some cream on me. Maybe they did the testosterone cream and they like smeared it on me and I had no fucking idea. I don't know. I'm innocent. You end up going before the committee and it don't matter what you say. You're going to get suspended. Now, how many fighters have been suspended, involved in or around Eddie Reynoso and Canelo Alvarez? Let's talk about that list. Damn.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Yeah.
We got breaking news. Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez has been signed for August 16th in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Where are you reading this?
On X.
There it is. There it is.
Pete Pug Boxing reports.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, let's go to boxingscene.com really quickly. Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez have each signed a contract to fight August 16th in Saudi Arabia. I don't like it. Shit, man. The Saudi Arabian atmosphere is lousy. This fight will probably not be that entertaining. I've seen Teofimo fight slick southpaws technicians. We've seen it before. Against you name it, right? They weren't very exciting fights, particularly the Jermaine Ortiz style fight. We just saw Devin Haney in a very lousy fight. Drew, is this $11 million? Do you know anything about it? Okay, let's keep reading. It is expected to be fought at a catch weight of 145. And Vada, which I just talked about, we're talking about that. Vada will be doing all the testing. It's very interesting. Let's talk about something quickly. That Sudachi fight, Drew, with Jaime Munguia took place in Saudi Arabia, Cinco de Mayo weekend. Mom was in town. Fonzie was in town. We went to go see that. I did not know that the British Board of Boxing, the BBOC, something like that, I'm not sure, the BBOC, they're in charge of testing and of being the commission that rules over the Saudi Arabian fights. They are way more strict than the New York State Athletic Commission and more punitive than even the California State Athletic Commission and the Nevada State Athletic Commission. What does that mean? They tried to ban Conor Benn for almost 2 years for enclomiphene. Jaime Munguia is going to be looking at a very much more punitive suspension, in my opinion, that Ryan Garcia got in New York for 9 months.
Well, I'm going to ask, matter of fact, we can talk about this and everything. Who wants Vada?
Vada, I believe, is a former judge or official, and they were loosely friends with Victor Conti, but they're not. He has no ownership in Vada. But the story is that he helped the person and behind it. There's two people, and they're out of Las Vegas, create Vada as a testing agency.
And who is Victor Conti?
Oh man, you could go watch the Netflix thing. Victor Conti, Drew, is extremely divisive. But you know, I'm gonna be a little bit biased because I'm from the Bay Area, and a lot of great fighters from the Bay Area, including Nonito Donaire, a couple of my other friends. They worked with Vada and they worked at the Snack Nutrition Center in San Carlos, California. And so I'm not gonna badmouth them. I believe in people. I believe in people getting a second chance.
You don't gotta do it, but I'm gonna keep it 100 here because Drew keeps it 100 always.
Keep it 100.
Victor Conti is the main name behind the biggest sports bus in PED use in history of sports. He was the main guy behind it. And he should have nothing to do with sports nutrition at all. He should not have nothing to do with boxing, especially in combat sports, because of the deaths and permanent injuries that can happen in those sports. And yet ago, he has worked with the guy that made Vada, which is an anti-doping thing. We can't even get a straight answer out of Vada and anything. It's not a foolproof drug system that demonstrates clean boxing. I think it's a terrible thing. and I think it needs to be replaced. And I think the best thing, I think we all need to agree this boxing drug testing should be Olympic style drug testing. I think it's the most fair way to test out fighters. I think it does lower the risk of a fighter fighting on PED use, unlike VADA, and VADA does take a long time to cover these resorts and everything. That is another downfall of VADA. And I think that as long as we have to operate by this, and I think as long as we have Victor Conti associated with any of the sport of boxing, the performance enhancing drugs are always going to play a part in boxing.
Of course, of course. It does not help, guys, if you follow the sport religiously or you just a casual fan, that we have 4 sanctioning bodies with 4 different championship title belts in each weight class, and they don't all use the same testing protocol. They will be using VADA for this one, like we just pointed out. I'm shocked to hear this news, man. Teofimo made the circuit. Look, Friday night at the Virgin, sitting ringside next to Oscar. Oscar tweeting this morning that if he needed help, Teo, if you need help from a real promoter, hey, holler at your boy. I'll help you finalize this contract. What I had heard was that $11 million initially was not enough to motivate Teo to fight Devin Haney, because I guess he was looking at more money in a different direction, right, as of last week.
I think the fight, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Devin's going to take a good shot. He's going to win the rest of the night. It's really is. It's Devin. Devin didn't get out of getting hit. Doesn't look, he didn't get out of that stage of getting his ass kicked by Ryan Garcia and taking shots after shots with Jose Ramirez. It's going to be like that. Teo has issues cutting off the wing.
Yeah.
And it could be another born fight. And I just like,
well, it's not going to help. There's not going to be a crowd. There's not going to be a large crowd like we would see in Las Vegas. This fight would be perfect in Las Vegas. Both of these guys having homes in Las Vegas. Devin Haney living here full time. I think Teo lives here part time. He has a house. This should be in Las Vegas, but it's not. And let's talk about.
It's a shame.
Let's talk about something that we need to transition. Carlos M says Devin is going to be on his bike for the whole fight. Let's talk about 2 things that have transpired in 4 weeks, 1 month, and that's basically setup fights, basically tune-ups that were meant to be on the same card for 2 fighters to help you sell a future fight. We're talking about Devin Haney versus Ramirez, and Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, which was supposed to be a sure thing so they could fight later this fall. And Rolly played spoiler, and Ryan Garcia showed up, not the best in his first fight coming back off of suspension, looking like complete shit, not looking like the guy who had been on Osterine, tested positive for Osterine, and annihilated Devin Haney. And Devin Haney, boy, he looks like a shadow of himself. And
I think Ryan Garcia is mentally out of it.
Dude, he just had right hand surgery this week, and he was with Teofimo in Las Vegas partying this weekend. Luckily, in these pics I'm seeing, it doesn't look like Ryan was on any extracurricular substances. He looked pretty sober, which is a refreshing thing to see out of Ryan Garcia. But this weekend, like a dumbass, I posted a comment on Sean Porter's YouTube channel with Sean Zattel. And I ended up saying that this thing is a guaranteed shoe win. There ain't going to be no surprises. Boy, did I get that fucking call wrong. And I posted it on. I had to go back and retract my statement because it happened again in 4 weeks' time. No reason, absolute 0 reason to see Caleb Plant fight a tune-up, a guy who was coming up from 160 pounds, who had lost to Elijah Garcia by stoppage at 160. There was no reason for Resendiz to play spoiler, but he did. He had other ideas. He said, tonight is about me. Armando Resendiz says, fuck that. I'm flipping the script. It ain't going to be Plant versus Charlo, and it happened again. And Drew, I was on another podcast yesterday, and we all agreed. On that podcast, we agreed It's time for boxing promoters to quit with these stupid setup fucking cards, because we've had them completely fall apart and ruin these plans 2 times within a 4-week span. Spoiled. By the way, I got to give Armando Resendiz his flowers, man. That was extremely impressive. He did it twice. He's done it twice in his career. He upset former champion Jarrett Hurd at 154 pounds, and he did it again. Are you at all surprised by what happened with Caleb Plant and Armando Resendiz?
I had an 8-4. Armando won the fight. I had an Armando 8-4. I thought he clearly won the fight. I really think that Caleb Plant underestimated this dude a lot.
Could have been.
That he was going to walk him down and peck shot him and get a nice shot off or knock him. I really think Caleb Plant really underestimated this guy. And when he realized this dude's here to fight, Caleb Plant didn't really have no plan B or nothing. It was really, I did not think he fully came prepared for what he was fighting. Because I think we look at it, you get him in the corner after you see that, and you tell him, hey, go for a play. We got to have a plan B or something in case this guy surprises us. They didn't have that plan B. And he went and he clinched, and he went to clinching and everything. I think Caleb in this phase of his career has to be more of trying to get a guy out and use his skills set to do it, and not don't keep it at a pace for yourself, but you're gonna have to make your shots count.
Yeah, I do want to get into what happens next to Caleb Plant. Quick shout out to my boy Roy Explores on YouTube, guys. If one of the mods wants to share Roy's channel, he's got a big, huge channel. I've been along the ride for he's a San Francisco YouTuber, and I still love watching Roy. I think recently I was watching the Carnival stream. I mean, that's my old neighborhood right there, watching Carnival in San Francisco on Roy Explores on YouTube. Love it, Roy. Keep doing you, and thank you so much for that super sticker. This is a bad picture of Armando Resendiz, Drew. A lot of people that I was talking to on Friday at the weigh-in said that, damn, he looked just like Mario Lopez. And I don't think he looks like Mario Lopez right here, but in person, he sure do look like Mario Lopez, man. I'm wondering if Steve Kim has any jokes this week for Mario Lopez, because you could tell me, if you told me they were brothers, I would believe it. So there's Armando Resendiz. What next for Caleb Plant? Now he's 32, but damn, Drew, he did win rounds 1 through 4. I had to go back and watch it because watching it in person is different. I do think he won rounds 1 through 4, and then it was all Resendiz with the pressure, the classic Mexican style.
Yeah, but I look at it like this. He really, if you look at it, he has to box best. When a guy's trying to be a pressure fighter to you, you gotta be boxing you gotta be on your P's and Q's. You gotta show him that, hey, you can pressure me, but I'm gonna just, when he's pressuring, he's moving up. It really, the way that if he's holding his hands like this, he's open to an uppercut. You hit him with the uppercut like that, right between his guard, and you back him up. You back the guy up. You give him a good uppercut. You back him up. And then he keeps doing that, then he blocks, then it opens up more punches for you. And the thing I don't get, that he wasn't doing that. He went to clinching when he took a good shot. And I believe, and if he's trying to fight that pressure style and trying to make it a phone booth fight, he's going to be open to uppercuts, because the guard that he does, it opens up right here or it opens up right here on you. And Caleb, all he was in is Philly shell, and he was jabbing and jabbing. Hey, I understand you got a jab and everything, but when you see an opportunity to land an opening, you got to take that opening, especially against a pressure fighter, because it stops them in their tracks and it makes them rethink their steps. And then you got the control now. It's like it's like a battle when it's a pressure fighter. It's like a battle of territory. And if the pressure fighter is staying in your territory, it's his territory. Object is you gotta make it not you gotta make it your territory and nail the uppercut or a straight or a hook to get him out your territory. And Caleb Plant failed to do that. But
Jared Hurd. Hey, shout out to Fonzie. He said Drew is the modern Teddy Atlas. That's quite the compliment.
But here's the issue. I don't think Caleb Plant's done. I don't think he's done. But I think his next fight is a crossroads fight now.
Oh, definitely.
Because of the type of the fighter he lost to. His next fight's definitely a do or die fight. Because you lose your next fight, you considered a gatekeeper.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with you right there for sure, guys. I want to know in the chat: is Caleb Plant's career, is he at risk of becoming a gatekeeper, and is his kryptonite Mexican fighters? Because his losses all come against number one Canelo Alvarez, who broke him down with the pressure. David Benavidez was a straight war. I think that fight really took a lot out of Caleb Plant. It put some serious miles on that engine. Then even he's got the loss there. He's got the loss to Armando Resendiz. And in his most recent fight against Trevor McCumbee, he was losing those early rounds. He was getting fucked up. And that was kind of like letting us know, foreshadowing potentially that he's got some issues. He did pull away with an impressive victory, but after round 4, his gas tank was shot. And it seems like for a 32-year-old fighter, former champion, that potentially, I'm going to just say it, man, he's on the back 9. If he can't win his very next fight, he's in trouble of just being the guy PBC calls out and say, hey, man, you got to fight the young guy. Here's a payday. You're the former champ. This young guy, he wants to fight you because he thinks he can beat you. And then he's a gatekeeper, unfortunately. He's got to win that next one. It's do or die, crossroads.
But here's the thing. When it comes to Plant's biggest issue is he fights once a year. That's his biggest issue. You got to stay active, especially at your age, because if you look at it, your body breaks down, and if you're known to be someone that has a gas tank issue and everything, and you only fight once a year. It doesn't favor you at all because your body's gonna break down.
Seriously,
after round 5, it's really not the best thing for Plant. He needs to fight at least twice a year going forward.
Well, how long ago was the McCumbee fight? I feel like it was recent.
I thought the McCumbee was almost. I think he was a year inactive.
Damn, is that how fast time flies? Guys, when was the McCumbee fight? I'm not going to look it up right now. If somebody it feels like it was more than, but I will say that inactivity is hurting a lot of guys, specifically the other guy too, who fought the co-main. Let's move on to that co-main. Well, what are your final thoughts, Drew? Resendiz, impressive victory, a smaller fighter. He's made some noise at 154. At 160, he gets dropped. He's now the interim champ, man. Is he going to be a real player, or was this a fluke for Resendiz?
Nah, I think this was a fluke. I think he got Plant at the right time. I think Plant's I think age is starting to pick up on Plant a little bit, and his inactivity, and that's what hurt a lot of PBC guys, and it's getting to Plant now because of the losses he has. He's taken beatings in his losses. So to look at it like this, he is on the back 9, and this is a crossroads fight, his next fight. So I think, I don't think he's going to be a major player. I don't think Resendiz is going to be a major player. It's just a fluke win. I think if you put him against some of these other guys, I think they like. And Billy stops him. I think Srirachi beats him. Pacheco can beat him.
All right, well, those are all serious, dangerous players in the division, more established guys. This was Resendiz's first opportunity to fight somebody, and he came away victorious. Now, you mentioned this was probably a combination of Resendiz being there to rise to the moment, being in his physical young prime. Caleb Plant barely winning these first 4 rounds, 14 rounds to 11 in round 4. And you could see the beginning of the fight was very paced, very slow. I thought, oh, shit, man, this is going to be a boring fight. But come round 5, Caleb Plant really wasn't throwing much. Here we had 12 punches connecting out of 52, 9 punches connecting out of 54, and the 6, he had a little bit better performance in the 7, 16 for 49, 17 of 50. It's not like he was. Oh, shit, I got to be honest. Actually, is this Caleb Plant or. I'm looking at Resendiz's numbers. Sorry, guys. I was looking at Resendiz's numbers. Resendiz really stepped it up. Rounds 10, 11, 12, 81 punches in round 12. The short is on my channel, guys. The short got almost 20,000 views. I'm so happy and fortunate that you guys are tuning into those shorts.
If you look at it, in those 4 first rounds, or like first 5 rounds of that fight, Caleb Plant averaged 33 punches a round. And that was below the average at 168 for a fighter in per round. And he gets tired after that. That's bad. It really is, because I think the average amount of punches thrown by a super middleweight per round, I believe it's 43 per round, and he's averaging 33 punches a round in those first 5 rounds and everything. He should have been ready for the later 5 rounds. He wasn't.
Saludos to Veronica joining us in the chat. All right, well, I'm ready to move on to the co-main attraction, Jermall Charlo. Boy, was I unimpressed. I got to see him was David Benavidez, that last fight he had. Charlo was on that card against Jose Benavidez Jr., the brother of David Benavidez. Boy, that was. But we talk about inactivity and his long layoff from the sport. Almost 2 years not defending the WBC middleweight championship. He's back. He's back. He's 35 years old. He's 35 years old. Bo Charlo's at 35 years old. Dream probably to get that ultimate Canelo Alvarez payday. He does fulfill his obligation. His job was to beat Thomas Cornflake Lamana. Cornflake Lamana really pissed off when he took a flash knockdown, Drew. But let me tell you something about Cornflake Lamana, man. Paulie Malignaggi a few weeks ago on Pro Box said that he's sick and tired of these guys that are out here coming to fight that are just happy to be here. They don't give a fuck about what happens in the ring, if the fight ends, if I get knocked out. I'm just happy to be here. Cornflake Lamana came with the intention of winning. He really did try. He really tried to show his East Coast swag. And even though they called the fight off, in my opinion, prematurely, man, he was out there with the fans, Drew. He was soaking it up in Las Vegas on a Friday. Your boy got an opportunity to talk to him real quick. Where's that picture, man? I want to show you guys this, man. But Cornflake Lamana out there with the fans in the hallways, celebrating with people. I mean, let me tell you, man, he was getting a lot of fucking love from everybody, all the boxing fans. He came to try to win. It is what it is, his limited skill set. He does have a lot of fights, but against top echelon, he falls short. I mean, but it is what it is. He's out. Look at him, man. He was fine out there chilling with all the fans out there. Shout out to Cornflake Lamana. Are you impressed with Jermall Charlo, super middleweight, 35-year-old Jermall Charlo, now ranked? Shit, I was reading. He's now ranked number 2 by the WBA. He's a fight away, 1 fight away from getting a shot at Canelo Alvarez, man. All he has to do is beat Resendiz. Do you guys want to see him fight Resendiz?
I'm not impressed at all. Like, Lamana has 6 losses. He was 36. What is he? No, he doesn't have 6 losses. I think he has 8 losses. Lamana. I think he's 33 and he was 33 and 8. And everything.
Could be.
And this was a guy that was actually knocked out by
Arizona
out in the first round. Nah, I'm not. Like, it really, is a step up. It was a comeback fight. They knew this how this was gonna go, and and like I look at it, man, and I just I just look at it as in like they're trying to rebuild Jamar Charlo, and he's not getting
The
another
same
fight.
way they've been trying to rebuild Errol Spence and getting fans nostalgic about, oh, Errol Spence still has something left in the tank. Honest to God, guys, Cornflake Lamont, I'm giving him praise because he's a cool guy and he showed up to fight, but he's a middleweight. He's a very thin, tall middleweight. He's not a super middleweight. He's not ranked, and yet Charlo skyrockets up in the WBA rankings. He's not a live body. Carlos M says, dude needs to face a Berlanga or a Munguia. Berlanga, he doesn't have room to talk because after that Canelo fight, man, he took a fight against a guy who had been inactive for 8 years and was straight coming off a prison run. And that dude's midsection was flabbier than my mid-40-year-old body, for real. I think that guy was, and he has a lot, Berlanga's talking a lot of shit. In fact, Berlanga had to rub it in. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because check this shit out. He had some words for Caleb. This was a fight that a lot of people were salivating about, man. The potential for Berlanga to get schooled by Caleb Plant. Berlanga's the heel. He says, damn, boy, you got your ass whooped and all this, whatever. Hey, he had to rub it in Caleb's Plant's. Berlanga's got his own challenges. He's going to be fighting Shiraz. That's a young, live body.
Man, let's look at it like this. Caleb Plant now still whoop Berlanga's ass. I'm sorry, Egan Berlanga is a bum. He only got the Canelo fight because he's a bum. He's a Puerto Rican bum. That's what.
Damn.
Here's the thing. I love my Boricuas. I really do.
But not that one.
But I'm gonna tell you this right now. He was only picked because he was a bum. It's the truth. He was only picked because he was a bum. And I think people need to just keep him 100.
He beats Shiraz.
He was a bum.
If he knocks out Shiraz, will you drop the Bumlanka moniker for him?
Yeah, I would, but he ain't gonna. I think Shiraz is gonna knock him out inside 5 rounds.
All right, well, we're gonna find that's coming up this summer. A lot of exciting cards. All right, before we wrap up this fight, that took place at Mandalay Bay, I was excited to be there again. Shout out to my boy Fonzie who was there and joining us. It was a great time. To be honest, it was a great time. A smaller card. The Mexican fan base, Drew. There's a lot of Mexican people that love Caleb Plant. They ride with him. But when Resendiz started to turn this fight around and started to beat him, man, the Mexican fans were just screaming, "Sí se puede, sí se puede," because they smelt an upset. And when you see an upset coming in boxing, you're like, damn, now I'm happy to be here. Now I'm glad that I paid to come see this, because Resendiz was a plus 1,400 to 1 underdog before the fight started. And I think it was plus 1,600 on Friday when I was at the weigh-in. Right before the fight, 1,400. Some of those Mexican fans that may have laid a wager on him or his family that was there, they made out pretty good, man. So shout out to them.
I look at it like this. Like, isn't Berlanga signed with PBC now?
I don't know. Is who? Berlanga?
Yeah. I think Eddie dropped him.
I have no idea who's on that card. I'll look. But anyways, regardless, if he's an independent agent right now.
Like, I look at it like this. You got dropped by two promoters because they really don't see much in you. And Eddie was like, "Hey, I'm going to cash out. I'm going to let him fight Canelo Alvarez and cash out." And Eddie made a killing off that fight because it did 600,000 buys, and then when he tried to have his own main event, it didn't really sell good. And you realize he's not a superstar. This guy's not a superstar, and the next good guy, you give him the fight, that guy's gonna whoop his ass. So Shiraz is gonna knock him out, and Shiraz, I think Shiraz is gonna be a player at 168.
Well, he's got all the gifts, man. He just he did not look good in his middleweight shot against current champion, and I'm glad you bring that up, Drew. I'm ready to talk about this. Go ahead, because I'm ready to talk about this middleweight. Y'all need to keep your eyes on.
I think Carlos Adonis needs to move up to 168 and get bigger fights for himself.
Well, I'd like to see Carlos Adames fight Janabek. I mean, Janabek is taller than all these fools, and Janabek really, he talks about wanting a Canelo fight. He has the size to be fighting right now at super middleweight.
Does he want it? Does Janabek want the?
I don't know what he wants. He's great on social media, but I don't even think he speaks English. Someone is handling his career. Drew,
I don't think he does.
Drew, I don't know if you got a chance. We walked into the arena and got a chance to watch the Yoenli Hernandez. Yoenli, this is a Cuban standout that I've seen twice fight now. He just continues to get stronger. He is a freaking beast in the ring. He can do it all. He can fight Cuban style boxing, but then he's a pressure fighter. Unbelievable combinations. I'm surprised Kyron Davis lasted to the final bell, to be honest. He's calling for a fight against Janabek. And I think while it might be early, I'm going to go say right now, this guy, Yoenli Hernandez, will win a title at 160 pounds. And that's not a stretch because it is kind of a weak division. But Janabek and Carlos Adames, who beat Shiraz, they're solid champions. Those guys need to unify and think about joining join the party at 168, man. But Yoenli Hernandez, shout out to him. Incredible, guys. Keep your eyes on him because he's just getting stronger and stronger.
But the main issue is with Janabek, you don't know what Janabek you're going to get. Because there were times Janabek didn't look good.
Yeah, and sometimes, Janabek, because he's not popular in the U.S., sometimes he's been taking fights on the East Coast or Eastern Europe. He's been fighting in Europe a lot, and it's just like he needs to figure out how to build an American fan base. But, man, it was a fun card. It was a fun card.
I think the issue is the promoters are not promoting him right. I think Top Rank can do a better job with doing that. And I think the first thing they need to just to him is, let's move you up to 168. There's nothing there for you at 160. Let's get you up to 168. We'll get you in some fights. We can probably get you a fight with M. Billy later on in the year. And or we can get you a fight, one of these fights with Shiraz or somebody. I think he needs to move up. There's nothing for him at 160. At 160, is he gonna get a fight with Laura? Probably not. It's maybe because the PBC and Top Rank working together, they might be able to get a fight on. But I don't think Janabek. I don't think the hype is all there because of the inactivity or the fights that he's been fighting on American television and everything. It really is hurting him a long run, and you can blame some of that on his management, and the promoter for that. But when it comes to, I think 160 is up for grabs, and I think that anybody at 154 wants to consider, hey, I had a title. If they even had a title at 154, I got a title. It doesn't look like I'm going to unify here. When I just moved to 160, it's a favorable division for me to win titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at it. It's I think 60 and I think 68 are I think, are we going to be concerned about 60? Yes, there's a big concern with 60 when it comes to the depth of the division. And to tell you the truth, there's a concern with 68 because those fighters that are other than Canelo Alvarez, who's going to be able to get the fight? And how long is he planning on being a champion? How long is he planning on fighting in that division for? So I think I think in boxing, I think 160 and 168 are two of the most unfavorable divisions when it comes to uh, winning championships and forcing fights to go on. So.
Well, Drew, we got a couple more segments really quickly. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, considering subscribing. It's free. And hit us with the like button because it only helps the show and our community grow, man. This was huge news that came out this morning that I was awaiting, Drew. I just saw last week, we saw Eduardo Sugar Nunez of Sinaloa win the vacant title that was dropped by, what's his name? Kasachi. And Anthony Kasachi, Irish fighter, right? He dropped his IBF title because he wanted to fight Lee Wood. Sugar Nunez from Mexico picks up that title in a very good win in Japan. Today we get the news that the biggest name, in my opinion, well, one of the biggest names, but Lamont Roach, one of the more popular, and especially the Mexican fan base. This fight took place 3 weeks ago in San Diego against Charlie Suarez, a Filipino national. It was ruled originally 3 weeks ago, that nasty cut stopped the fight. The doctor said, nah, we got to stop this fight. And they went to the scorecard, even though the California State Athletic Commission has replay. They did not get it right on the replay. The punch landed and caused this cut. It was not a clash of heads. It was not accident. It was a punch. Well, they ruled it in favor. That day, they ruled it in favor of Navarette, saying Navarette is the winner. We go to the scorecards. We got the ruling. Charlie Suarez should have been awarded the victory. Had they used instant replay, Charlie Suarez would be the new champion at 130 pounds of the Filipino rivalry against Mexico. Today they said no contest, and they told Bob Arum, you need to run it back. We're demanding an immediate rematch. Why does that matter? Guys, we have two incredibly talented Mexican champions at 130, Navarette, now Edward Sugar Nunez. The other two African-American fighters, we got O'Shaquie Foster, who loves fighting Mexicans. O'Shaquie's available, and Eduardo Sugar Nunez are available. Navarrette's got to run it back with the Filipino. He's stuck. Lamont Roach, he's running it back with Gervonta Tank Davis at 135. His title is not being stripped. They're going to allow him to come back and defend it if he wants to come back to 130. He's not available either. If we're going to get a unification, it's going to be between somebody who's no stranger to fighting Mexicans, man. I'm telling you, O'Shaquie Foster went to Cancun and was in a brutal, brutal war defending his title. O'Shaquie Foster versus Sugar Nunez. Make that fight happen, guys. Let's get a unification in the 130 division.
I think they should have looked at the replay. I think while they were reviewing it, I think they need to look at the replay and review it.
They need to stop they need to take all the time they want.
I think this shouldn't be a no contest. This should be a TKO win.
And it shouldn't take 5 fucking minutes. Look, we've seen them actually try to go back through cameras. When a fighter is hit in the testicles, they're even allowed up to 5 minutes. When you get a rabbit punch, you can even be awarded a total of 5 minutes to take your time. If it's this important for a world title, the fighters can keep warm for 5 minutes, man. It's not killing the flow. Especially, I think they made the wrong call. And he should have been deemed world champion right there and then. Instead, we're going to get a rematch that maybe none of us are calling for. Fonzie was there, and we're going to have to run it back. Will it be in San Diego? I don't know. One more thing, guys. There are so many fights this weekend, Drew. If you got time, I would love to do a preview of this weekend. It's ridiculous, dude. There's UK fights. There's Japan. There's Japanese fights. You got Jayo Pataya fighting in Australia. Then you have Keyshawn Davis and a really good card coming up this Saturday on ESPN. We just don't have time to cover it tonight. So hopefully you're available. We'll do a preview show this week if you're available. If not, make sure you hit the notifications so you watch our weekend preview on the Shoe Shine. Drew, PBC shocked it. They had a press conference Saturday morning before the fight, before the Charlo Plant fight. They had a press conference. All the heavy hitters were there. Fundora was in the house. I saw Samson Friday walking around Mandalay Bay. Fundora was in the house. Tim Tszyu. Manny Pacquiao is back. The card is stacked. Here it is, guys. Manny Pacquiao was at the press conference. PBC had it Saturday morning before the fight. Pacquiao versus Barrios is official for the WBC welterweight title. Fundora versus Tim Tszyu. Fundora no longer has two of the belts, Drew. He gave up one of the belts so he can please PBC, I guess, and fight Tim Tszyu. Figueroa versus Gonzalez. That could be entertaining, but I think Gonzalez has got some seriously high miles. Cruz versus Fierro will again steal the show, guys. The first one was an incredible fucking banging fight. They need to be up. That should not be the opening fight. But here it is, Drew. Your thoughts on the Pacquiao versus Barrios card? What are they doing with Manny Pacquiao? Is this a death wish?
Man, it's a cash grab, and it's a disappointing cash grab because this is what you don't need now in boxing. You don't need cash grabs. Like, if this is all favorable, if you look at the Manny Pacquiao, because if Manny Pacquiao beats Mario Barrios, he becomes the oldest champion in welterweight history, and Mario Barrios will become nothing but a complete joke and will not be taken seriously ever again.
Mario's had some pretty close fights lately. I mean, Jesus Ramos' uncle, Abel Ramos, only in a Mexican family. Could you be uncles with someone just 5 years older than you? But Abel Ramos gave him a hell of a fight. It's so close that, could have been a draw, in my opinion.
I had it a draw. I really had that fight a draw. And I look at it, I don't want to look at it like this. I hope to God Manny Pacquiao does not get seriously hurt in this fight. He's been out of the way. Like, let's look at it like this. He took an exhibition against a Japanese kickboxer, I think, and he didn't really look too good either in that fight, in that exhibition fight. Even though it's an exhibition, but when was the last time he's been in a serious fight? Ugas.
Yeah, it's been years. And mind you, the WBC, all Pacquiao had to say was, I'm coming back. And they're like, bro, we got a spot for you. You are ranked in the WBC. You are hereby ranked within the top 10. So you can technically fight Mario Barrios for a world title, even though you've been out of the ring officially for well over 4 years, Drew. Mario Barrios, in an interview with BoxingScene.com, said that it's going to be an honor to share the ring with the legend. How ironic, Drew, because I can remember Manny Pacquiao saying the same freaking thing about Oscar De La Hoya when Oscar De La Hoya was like, I got to fight this young guy. I got to fight Pacquiao. I have to fight Pacquiao. I don't care how old I am. I don't care how much weight I got to lose. I got to fight Pacquiao. And then Pacquiao was like basically giving mercy to Oscar, man. He basically gave mercy to Oscar not to whoop his ass so bad. Is that what's going to happen?
Oscar was fighting still. Was still an active fighter. Manny Pacquiao isn't an active fighter.
True. He was active, but it really was a mercy. Is Mario Barrios going to have to take mercy on Manny Pacquiao in front of thousands, potentially, of screaming Filipino fans?
But I'm going to say this. Mario Barrios really needs to think about this. That this could make him look, this is a lose-lose situation for him. Because if you beat him inside 5 rounds, you beat a 47, 48-year-old guy that's been out the ring of a serious fight for 4 years. And is really retired. If you lose to him, you're a joke, and your career is most likely over as a real top fighter. And it's really a lose-lose for him, because now I think you look at it, he people are going to consider him food, and and let's look at it. The WBC is nothing but a disgrace to boxing. Racing Sulimov is a disgrace to boxing. Should have nothing to do with boxing. All the shit that he is trying to implement and everything, a prejudice, because he is discriminated in cases. I just, it's a joke. And people are like, you know what, I'm just going to drop that belt because it doesn't represent my values and everything. Like, people, like, if I was to go get a replica title belt or get a replica belt, boxing belt, I'd rather get the IBO belt than the WCBC belt. It's just me. I think the WBC represents prejudice and discriminated against certain beliefs, certain nationalities. They wouldn't allow Russian to fight for their belt for so long because of the Ukraine-Russian war. You can't take it out on those athletes. A lot of them don't even believe in what Putin does. And he did anyway. That's why he didn't get undisputed for all that time. And I think Sulimov fucked up a lot of fights. Big fights that could have happened. So I think Brandon Figueroa isn't really that great. Like I think he's a guy that he gives you a good fight. He gives you like a pressure fight. You can outbox him and make it look easy after like 5 rounds. Stephen Fulton did it in the second fight. After, Stephen Fulton won that fight clearly 9-3, 10-2, that second fight. Fulton was able to counteract that style. I don't think Figueroa is really going to be a champion in a division again. And,
well, his brother Omar's already retired, man. I probably agree with you,
He's
Drew.
at Cruz. And he's at Cruz. Go back. Yeah, he's down 135. It's probably the more correct weight for him. He's really undersized at 140.
I thought I heard that even Rayo Valenzuela is considering moving back to 135. That's really interesting.
I think he may have to stay at 140, eat the bullet.
As I mentioned before, guys, thank you so much for kicking it with Drew and I tonight on a special Monday night shoe shine, like our normal old times. There's so many fights, Drew, this weekend. Let me just quickly run down through some of them. Big event in the U.S. Keyshawn Davis, champion at 135 versus former champion Edwin De Los Santos. That is, wow, we got to do Abdullah Mason fighting an actual live body. I was giving him praise. Jeremiah Nakatila, this is a very good name for him. This is going to be a very good test. Jayo Bataya, cruiserweight champion, fights, I believe, Sunday in Australia. We have Fabio Wardley, heavyweight UK fight for the WBA interim heavyweight title. Brandon Moore versus Stanley Wright on DAZN. Franchon Cruz DAZN champion. She's someone I'm very interested in watching because Lukey was telling me she's fighting a woman who's only 5'3", powerhouse Mexican undefeated fighter. That seems really interesting. So many. Oh, Probox got a fight Saturday night too. Justin Paldo versus Juan Carlos Burgos. You guys could watch that on YouTube. We're gonna have to come back and talk about some of these fights. And Drew, y'all remember Castillo who fought Mayweather? I mean, Fonzie and I met him at the fight read not too long ago. Castillo is fighting Ruslan Provodnikov in a real fight. Bro, Ruslan Provodnikov, that's like Tim Bradley coming out of retirement, you know? Ruslan Provodnikov versus Castillo. It's not even on the list, but I've seen it. It's happening this weekend. That I can't fucking believe, man. Y'all should not be fighting anymore. Any thoughts on that one, Drew?
God help them.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Dave in the 702. Shoe Shine Boxing, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, whatever. Make sure you hit the notifications. Thank you guys for joining us. Philly Irish Drew Evo. I'll see you on the next one, Drew. Peace out, everybody.